How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Joe the Geek. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be looking at our favourite mutants. Hello, chaps. How are you doing?
Hey, guys.
Yo, Bob. Everybody well?
Yes.
Good. Excited. This is my favourite subject matter, Peter.
I know, Ben. I know, and you've picked some interesting ones. I was trying to think of a good word to use for them. I suspect a lot of reviewers aren't going to know some of the characters you've picked, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, maybe they should try reading the comic.
So this is going to be our usually top 5, but we're joined by good old James T. Keegan today, so we've changed it to top 3. Because what we've learned from our horror videos is that we can talk for hours and hours and hours. So We're going to try and keep this one a little bit shorter. So I'm joined by Efren from Past Point Comics. How are you doing, Efren?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Good. You're a big X-Men fan, Efren, aren't you?
I love the X-Men, man. Look at my shirt, you know.
Yeah, classic.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
So looking forward to getting into this with you, Efren. We've got James T. How are you doing, James?
Yo, I am well.
You a big X-Men fan?
Yeah, I love X-Men. Grew up on the comics and the movies, so yeah, it's a good topic for me.
Good stuff. And then we've got Ben, the attention-seeking geek, who we already know is a massive X-Men fan. But I think, Ben, it's probably fair to say we've done a few of these similar videos before, and you quite often like some of the fringe characters. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's for me. That's the appeal of the X-Men. Actually, is I think it's got some of the best fringe characters across the kind of Marvel universe, to be honest. So hopefully I'll be able to shine a spotlight and celebrate some of those oddballs today. We are the future, Charles, not them.
Oh, that was very good. That was Logan. Yeah. So
yeah. Schnicked.
Okay, guys. So we are talking top 3 mutants. And this can be any mutant you want, any of the X-Men, any of the associated characters. And like Ben said, there's a whole host of characters out there. And for me, that was one of the joys of some of the original X-Men movies. It wasn't the kind of the big linchpin characters. It was more the kind of spotting in the background, some of the mutants you might recognize. So I can't remember if it's X-Men 1 or 2, but there's a scene where a young girl walks through a wall. And to the casual viewer, they might not realize or think much of that, but obviously for a geek, you straight away think, "Oh my God, they've just showed Shadowcat, you know." So that kind of stuff. And Ben, I know, again, coming back to you, I think Colossus was kind of teased in the early films, but didn't necessarily suit up. But then did, I think, it was at X2 first time we see him in the silver.
No, so Daniel Cudmore does like it's kind of more than a cameo. Like he kind of is like the lead kid, you know, who looks after the other kids. I think because he's a little bit older than some of the younger ones, he kind of serves as their protector. And Logan kind of does like hey, good job, and he's like, I got this, and that's it. Like there's and then in the third film, he's part of the team, and yet still only has about 2 lines. So for me, it wasn't till Deadpool till I kind of finally got to see and meet the Colossus that I'd always envisaged reading the books. So,
and he's tremendous in those Deadpool movies. But I think, you know, I mean, you've mentioned there that kind of house scene going back a few years. That was probably one of the first real good kind of action scenes I think we saw Wolverine in, when he's jumping off the balcony and landing on people and really cutting loose with his claws. Love that scene.
Yeah, one of my faves.
Okay, guys. So, like I said, we're going to be talking on mutants. We've all got YouTube channels, so just before we get into it, just from my side of things, you know, I do a lot of live shows and all that kind of jazz, so please do check out those on my channel. Efren, what kind of stuff do you do on your channel, and where can people find you?
Past Point Comics on YouTube, and I just talk about comic books most of the time. I love going on Peter's live channel, so whenever he invites me, it's always a good time. And whatever pops in my head, I make a video about. I just did an unboxing on a Galactus that I got from HasLab, you know, so, you know, stuff like that. Just trying to have a good time.
That's a stunning figure, mind. I have to
Yeah.
say, it's a beast. It's
Yep.
a very nice one. James T, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's James T. Keegan on YouTube and now TikTok. And I do videos on PlayStation, so first party kind of PlayStation games, do reviews and stuff. And speaking of the X-Men, there is a Wolverine game from Sony coming out soon, so I'll be doing lots of coverage of that as kind of trailers come out for that, and probably a review when it comes out as well. So yeah,
I've been
I haven't
watching
heard of that one.
I've been watching your TikTok channel, James. Really good stuff. I like the way
thank you.
talk about each video. Yeah, it's good, man.
it is literally just clips of
man.
longer
I like
videos. But yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Good stuff. The Attention Seeking Geek. Ben, where can people find you?
Yeah, so Attention Seeking Geek on YouTube and Instagram, sort of the home of an alternative take on the geeky world. You know, I do silly shit. But there's lots of X-Men content on my channel. If you want to look through the back catalogue, I've done a sort of you know, a fan casting for an alternative you know, team in the films, and a Deadpool 3 kind of you know, fan fiction. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff on there if you're into your X-Men, or where it all began. X-Men, where I used to basically take a look at the first appearance of iconic characters. So that's a good little one to have a watch of as well. So yeah,
good stuff. I forgot you did those where it all began. They were really good.
Yeah.
Should revisit
one
them.
of my many failed projects, Peter.
No, but they were very good because you did FF and you did
Yeah.
pretty much all the big staple Marvel ones, didn't you?
Yeah. And
Good stuff. I watched them. Okay, dokie, guys. So what we've done is we've each picked one of our favourite mutants, 3 of them each in total, and we'll just crack straight on. So, an interesting selection there.
This is like a dream slide for me right now. Like, this is amazing.
I think this is an interesting thing that, you know, we didn't share with each other what our picks had been. We've all picked different characters, which is interesting itself, but it shows you how many mutants are out there. But I think they're all very, very interesting, unique characters. So I'll start off, guys. My pick is Sam Goodall, which is Cannonball. I love him. I started reading mutant comics probably as the New Mutants kind of first kicked off. The original series of New Mutants, which was kind of Cannonball, Sunspot, Wolfsbane, Mirage, and all those kind of characters. And I just really liked Sam. So Sam's powers, mutant powers, or he's a human cannonball. He's got this kind of blast effect, so he can't be hurt when he's flying. He becomes the kind of the leader of X-Force as time moves on. There was a bizarre storyline where he was an external, which was an immortal mutant for a while. I don't know if that still stands or not. But I've just always liked him. I've always liked he's you know, I like my goody two shoes characters. So he's always kind of quite noble, and he's a leader and all that kind of stuff. And there's a couple of key issues that really stand out for us. There's an issue of the later run where he's fighting. Oh, Ben might have to help us here. The Shah kind of powerhouse, the Superman version.
Yeah. Gladiator.
He's fighting Gladiator, who's like the Marvel version of Superman, I guess. And he stands up with him, and they have a proper fight. And it shows you the level of his power. And there's also a brilliant scene in I think it's the Extinction Saga, where he basically goes head to head with Professor X, who's kind of lecturing them all. And he does this really good thing where Professor X is always talking about you shouldn't, you know, choose the open hand instead of the closed fist when dealing with your enemies. And he does this kind of scene where he shows him the closed fist and then says, you know, opens his hand and says there's a mouse inside. And he says that, you know, the closed fist can be used to protect, but then an open hand can also be used to attack. And he goes to slap Professor X across the face to kind of turn it on the side. It's just brilliant. Yeah, just brilliant. So my pick's Cannonball. I'm a little bit lost off with where he is these days. I know
he was an Avenger for.
Did he get
recently.
married? Did he get married to one of the Imperial Guard or something?
Yep, and they had a kid.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know you mentioned his immortality. I wonder whatever happened with that plot line, because they don't mention it anymore.
Yeah, because that was in X-Force, I think, and there was Gideon who was.
That was a while ago too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my pick, Cannonball. You guys familiar with the character?
Oh yeah.
All I knew about him was Hasbro tried to get away with selling half an action figure when they did a Marvel Legend for him because it was just like an
James,
explosion.
Yeah, I've got that. I bought that when I was in America.
Yeah. Very
But
cheeky.
you're
I
not
thought.
wanting to have legs, do you?
Yeah, but still, like, come on, have a swap out, like, don't just,
Tremendous. Okie dokie. Ephraim, you've picked another fan favorite, I think.
So this is Catherine or Kitty Pryde. She first appeared in Uncanny X-Men 129, and she's always been one of my favorite characters because I like, she was a little kid when she first showed up on the X-Men, all basically overwhelmed by it all, and how she has progressed throughout the years. I mean, she even became a professor of the X-Men for a little while, and she became part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. She was engaged to Peter Quill, and right now she's in the Marauders in the X-Men. And I love Lockheed, her pet dragon. The combination of the both of them and the way she's just a kick-ass character right now. That's why I picked this character.
And she's got an incredible power set as well, hasn't she? I mean,
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by that kind
There
of
was
phasing ability.
There was this one issues where she was trying to stop a bullet from hitting the Earth. She merged with the bullet and it went through the Earth, and she was gone for a couple of years because I forgot how she came back. They got her back, but she merged with the bullet, so it would go basically through the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, I go, wow. I thought that was the end of the character for at least a year or so until they found a way to bring her back.
Was that in the Astonishing X-Men run?
I think so. Yes.
Joss Whedon's run.
Yeah. There's a scene in that. I mean, there's a scene in that early issues where they bring Colossus back, where I think in the artwork is phenomenal. They discover him in kind of a darkened room, and he's lit in red, I think, and he kind of walks through her to get out, and she's just standing there looking. It's absolutely amazing. Ben, you're a big fan of that run, I think, aren't you?
Oh yeah, like it's probably one of my favorite runs, and the whole Danger storyline and stuff. Yeah, superb. Great choice there, Ephraim. She's a real staple, and I think like out of all the characters, X-Men characters and stuff, like she's just developed so much from that kind of giddy teenage girl, who came in on her roller skates, literally, back in the day, and she's really sort of developed into a powerhouse and a leader, and yeah, like her kind of presence in the Marauders is just been amazing. Like I've absolutely loved seeing her embrace that role, and she's sort of got this kind of rebellious nature to her now as well because of how Krakoa didn't let her on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of given her this kind of spunky, rebellious element to her character as well. So, yeah, great choice.
It's interesting, you're talking there again, Ben, about how characters develop, and where she is now is so far from Sprite. Do you remember when she had that costume? And and this is what we want from our characters, isn't it? This is what you want. You want, certainly when you've been reading for a long time, like most of us have, you actually want to see proper character development. You want to see them learn and grow. So yeah, tremendous pick, Ephraim. Love it.
I only learned she got a dragon like a year ago. How long is that? How long has that been a thing?
Oh, long
forever.
Time, isn't it?
Really
We've got to give a shout out as well to, we just spoke about Cannonball, obviously played by Charlie Heaton in the New Mutants film, and Lockheed does make his first appearance in that film as well. I think that film is very underrated and a victim of everything that went on with it and its delays and when it was released and stuff. But I bloody love that film.
I completely agree. So I watched that with the kids a year or two ago, and we all absolutely loved it. And for me, as I said, I'm a New Mutants fan, and there's a character in that which I'm coming to in my next slide, I think, who I absolutely love, and I think they portrayed her superbly in that movie. So yeah, I thought it was a tremendous film. You seen that one, James? New Mutants?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Could have done without the giant bear, but
that was the demon bear, man. Maybe
I didn't like the giant bear part, but no, the rest. I like the horror elements in it, and I thought it was like effectively scary. And
the actress who played was it Anna Joy Taylor? She played
Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, she was perfect for that role.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just like her. I thought she was a great movie. I really enjoyed that movie also.
Good stuff. Excellent pick, Ephraim. James.
I can't believe Ben didn't pick this one.
Well, I
Yeah,
let
right.
you pick it.
Yeah, classic member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is Toad, of course. Yeah, I fell in love with this character in the first X-Men movie with Ray Park's kind of portrayal.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so attached to him, but I just thought he was funny and really cool, and I had like the action figure of him and everything. And kind of since then, different portrayals I've always been really attached to, like X-Men Evolution, the kind of Todd
Yeah.
Talansky, is it?
Yeah.
Best character on that show, I think, and they're just hilarious. And you know, I'm more of a fan of, like, I'm not mad about this costume that we have on screen now. Like, so like I've always been more attached to like the adaptation versions than the actual comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you said like, oh, favorite mutants, just instantly just like Toad. I love Toad. So yeah, Team Toad.
Team Toad. Hashtag Team Toad.
Let's get that trending. Hashtag Team Toad. Yeah. Yeah, another great character. I like him in the movies. Is he in the new class one as well? But
He's
a more
in,
grotesque version.
Days of Future
Days
Past.
of Future Past. Yeah, he's in
Yeah.
the army camp.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, I know you're a massive fan, and there's if people, I don't know if it's still on your channel or not, but isn't there a cosplay of you dressed in this outfit?
Yeah, not on my channel, but I did once upon a time. Yeah, sport.
And I mean, it's a bit of a humiliating costume, so you wouldn't have wore that for a special event or to meet anybody important or anything like that.
No, I only met Stan Lee dressed in orange lycra. Look, I absolutely adore this character. Like, I similar to James though in terms of kind of gateway. Like, you know, Ray Park was my introduction. You know, in that film, I think he does appear in one episode of X-Men '92. One or two episodes, and but I don't think I was particularly drawn to him then. But it was the Ray Park thing that I was just like, yeah, like this guy. Ray Park, everything he touches turns to cool.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah, and then obviously Todd Talansky was like, again, like that was weird because Todd Talansky does lean more into the like pathetic nature of Toad. But I was really drawn to it, and I really related to him as a character, which is probably quite worrying. And then growing older, you know, reading the comics and stuff, like I love the idea that Magneto ultimately had this kind of court jester, pathetic kind of character within his Brotherhood, and I just think his power set's a lot cooler than people kind of let on. And I loved like the journey that he's gone from kind of jokey kind of villain to being a genuine threat sometimes. Like he abducted the Scarlet Witch at one point, and then back to kind of pathetic recently, being the janitor for the you know, for the Jean Grey School of Higher Learning. Love that story arc. He has this beautiful romance with Husk. And it's just so kind of weirdly touching. And yeah, like he, interestingly now he's been put into the pits of Krakoa after his attempted assassination on Scarlet Witch,
right?
Or supposed. And yeah, like I think he's going to be part of a new group where everyone who has been put in that pit is coming back, led by Sabretooth and stuff. Just love him.
They already
give me all the Toad.
Some of them already came back. Sabretooth went down to the pit too, and he found out that they were being tortured down there, and they made their way out. So there's a book right now, Sabretooth, and I forgot the rest of the name of the book.
Yeah, like it's a new team, so I'm quite excited for that one.
Is that on the back of the Mr. Sinister series? Because it's Sins of Sinister coming out or something?
Might be coming before, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very I have to say the more recent X-Men, it's quite confusing for people joining in.
Not enjoyed a lot of it, to be honest.
Okie dokie. And then Ben, your pick.
Yeah, sorry, I just went off on a Toad.
No, that's what you're here for.
Quentin Quire. So anyone that knows my body knows that I have forever tributed Quentin Quire with my Kid Omega symbol there, and then I've got the flames in the background to represent the Phoenix Force that he will in the future kind of, or a version of the future, inherit. First appeared in New X-Men 134, and kind of went on to basically incite a riot in the school. He kind of creates a cult and incites a riot in the school. That all kicks off, and then there's this thing where he's essentially a kind of tries to be a terrorist and causes the X-Men schism storyline. And then eventually, when that all sort of got resolved, he's kind of a prisoner at Wolverine at the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning. Like Wolverine kind of ultimately keeps him there to keep an eye on him. And throughout that incredible series, like I've always said, it's one of my favorite runs in X-Men comics by Jason Aaron. He really kind of reluctantly becomes a bit of a hero and has these kind of odd heroic moments, and that's been explored more and more. Like he's went on to be in the West Coast Avengers.
All right.
So that's a really fun run, kind of like a young, fresh team for West Coast Avengers. And then he's recently been in X-Force and had like a relationship with one of the Stepford Cuckoos. But I just love for me, the Wolverine the X-Men run, that really personified why I love this character and why I was so drawn to him. I love the kind of punk, kind of imagery of like the kid in the kind of the blazer that he's customized, and he's always wearing these fun rebellious slogan t-shirts, and that's an Easter egg every book is to see what t-shirt he's wearing. Magneto was right and stuff like that. I'm so excited because I'm adamant it's going to happen. I'm so excited to see him in live action. I think there's so much story to tell there with him, and if you can find a great kind of engaging young actor to play him, I think it's going to be good.
Do you remember? I think he was the one who beat up the Beast with a baseball bat back in when Grant Morrison's run of the X-Men, when they were wearing the leather jackets.
Was that not Beak?
Was it Beak? Oh, I think it was. Okay, I might be
sure.
confused. Sure. Okay, it was either Beak or him. They beat the heck out of him.
Another favorite.
Yeah.
I think the last time we spoke about, I can't remember what show it was on, but you mentioned this character.
I think I picked him for something before.
But at that time, you are practically to take away, because had he just been killed off in the comics?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's been. I mean, everyone gets killed and comes back at the moment. That's kind of the Krakoa thing, is that you can be, but he got killed in a way that apparently he can't come back. But so yeah, I'm still a bit sore.
So he's not back yet.
I haven't read the most recent 2 issues of X-Force, so let us know in the chat if he's back. But as far as I know, he's not back just yet. But they better bring him back. I'll tell you that.
James, are you aware of this character at all?
I'd heard the name, knew absolutely nothing about him. Never read a comic with him in it. So I'm interested now, though. I think I'll
honestly, James, Wolverine and the X-Men, Volume 1,
right?
Volume 2.
See, I find that a really hard. You're going to hate this, Ben. I find that a really hard recommend, because I love the writing, but I just can't get away with that art style. It's what you call
Chris McCullough.
I can't stand his art.
He's one of my favourites, man. It's so character-driven and abstract and interesting. And
I mean, for me, all the words you just said there equate to shit. You know what I mean? I just think no. There's just something about it. Anyway, but it's great writing. It is a great series.
I'll show you faces.
Shut your eyes. Okay, so moving on. Some great picks there, guys. Some excellent characters. Next, starting with myself, this is my one of my favorite characters, not just mutants, characters of all time. It's Illyana Rasputin, Colossus's sister.
Say Rasputin again.
Rasputin. Magic. I always pronounce it. I don't know why. So this is again another New Mutants character, but the backstory of this character is so interesting. Now, again, I've lost touch with her a little bit lately. I know we've gone in a whole new direction with her, but back when I was reading her, she was Colossus's much younger sister who was abducted as a very small child and taken to Limbo, where she kind of basically over years grows to be this demon princess thing. There's a whole thing about her soul being taken and broken into soul gems, stones that are spread out. She's got this demon armor that kind of spreads every time she uses her power, and the soul sword, which is a kind of concentrated sword weapon that she's got. And during the New Mutants run, there's an excellent series kind of where she comes back having grown up on Limbo, and then she has this kind of transformation phase where when she accesses her full demon powers, she completely changes from that to this kind of red, grotesque creature with horns and a tail and things. And
Oh yeah.
It's just a beautiful storyline about them trying to kind of reclaim her soul and get her soul back. And her mutant power is teleportation, so she jumps from use stepping discs to get into Limbo. I just love her. She's brilliant. She's also in as we mentioned earlier, the New Mutants movie, and she's very, very good in that. Very strong portrayal of her. She's quite sassy in more recent comics. I think she's been quite sexualized, I would say, in some regards, but she's become, I think, a much more fierce kind of. I don't know if it's still the soul sword she wields, or if it's because it looks different to what she's got there. And Ben, you might be able to tell us it's a much bigger, chunkier sword. I don't know what it is.
I'm struggling to remember. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's still the same.
Is it the same thing?
Yeah. So I'm not sure, but that run of Uncanny X-Men where it kind of runs alongside that Wolverine and the X-Men, that period, where Cyclops kind of runs a kind of unofficial X-Men team, basically. They're kind of rejected as terrorists, basically. But she's phenomenal in that. Like, I just love her. No nonsense, no sense of humor, kind of to the point and pretty harsh sometimes attitude. But yeah, she's badass.
Yeah. And I think, for me, again, my main kind of interaction with her was during the New Mutants phase, but that attitude she had was because she'd been kind of raised in this demon landscape for years, and everybody had left her in her kind of mind, and she's just a really detailed character and very interesting backstory.
Yeah, her relationship with her brother is just so beautifully written as well. Like, I love how complex that is, and feelings that he failed her to a point. There's a guilt there from Peter, and just brilliant.
Ephraim, you a fan of this character?
Oh yeah, ever since they first introduced her when she was a little girl on Cyclops' shoulders, they showed pictures of her. Then when she got taken in Limbo, I mean, for her, years and years passed, but for them, it didn't. And when she came back, she was, a teenager, basically. But I know recently, I've been reading up on her, and she's not the queen of Limbo anymore. Malin Pryor is now the queen of Limbo. She somehow they said you can have it, basically. Yeah. She still has her soul sword, but I think it's just by different artists drawn. It's just gotten bigger.
Yeah.
But I believe it's the same sword, but I really enjoy this character, yeah. And I like her friendship with Kitty throughout the years also.
Yeah.
Yeah, tremendous. James, I don't know if you've ever seen this character.
Yes, I'm mostly familiar from the New Mutants film, played by one of my favorite actresses, Anya Taylor-Joy, who I thought was probably the standout of that. And I think it's sort of a shame that that's not going to go anywhere. We'll probably never see her back as that character. But
Secret Wars.
Yeah, very. Well, you never know. Very cool. I love a good energy sword as well. So I've enjoyed what I've seen of this character. Anyway.
Good stuff. Ephraim, you've gone for a real classic character here. Someone I think most people will probably like.
Yeah, this is Hank McCoy, the Beast. And this was a conflicted one for me, to be honest with you. I always talk to Peter. I liked him when he first started out with the X-Men, when he was in human form, and he was happy-go-lucky, but he was very smart, and even when he transformed into an actual beast, he still had that personality throughout the years with the X-Men. He was with the Avengers for a while. And I love that run with the Avengers, especially his friendship with Power Man, Simon Williams. Yep. I mean, they made a couple of books on them too, like miniseries. And I just really enjoyed this character until like the last 5 or so years. He's almost like lost his humanity. He doesn't really care. He just has an agenda, and it's all about the mutants and anybody that's in his way, so be it. He reminds me more and more of Dark Beast from the Age of Apocalypse now. And
I think that's where they're going, to be honest. I think he'll, slowly become that, and it'll be like, oh my God, like he was always destined to be that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like that at all. I liked him, like in the 60s and 70s and 80s until basically recently, where he's just turning, like he doesn't care if anybody gets in his way. He's all scientific now, or just more, just wants he has his agenda, and I don't think we know what it is exactly yet. You know, he's up to something.
I love that like juxtaposition of like this feral looking monster in like a lab coat with glasses on. That's all I've always loved visually about Beast.
And if you notice, I've been reading his recently in the X-Men books, he's the one X-Men who's looking his age more and more. He's getting a little bit heavier, and he looks his age compared to the other X-Men always look fit and everything, not him. You know,
well, visually his mutation has changes all the time. So it, you know, obviously we were speaking about Astonishing X-Men earlier, where he had that like cat-like appearance, and then he kind of went again Wolverine the X-Men sort of period. He sort of had like almost like a gorilla sort of look. Very different. Yeah, so you know it's kind of changed, and then I think it's even gone even more so recently in some of the recent books. So, but James, gaming expert, do you remember X-Men Mutant Academy?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll always remember violence is never the answer. That was always his like little intro, and yeah, like as you say, it's great because he's built for violence, but he's not. And I think that was even an element to his character back in the Kirby and Stan Lee introduction, where he was this jock nicknamed the Beast because he was such a bloody big dude, and yet just peaceful and science driven, and brilliant.
I love him. But again, Efren, this image is the version of the Beast that I prefer. Yeah. I like the jovial kind of, still hyper intelligent, and but having fun with it. I think more recently, I'm not keen on the recent.
He's not been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no. Not much of a laugh, is he? Yeah. But Ben, this is a hot toy that I would be desperate for. I know they've
Kelsey Grammer version though, or
yeah. Well, I know they've done a third-party version which looked not good, but I'd love a version like this for me. Okie dokie, James.
What can I say, guys? I'm a basic bitch. I mean, he's the classic. Like Wolverine is one of I think the best comic book characters of all time, and a character I've always been really attached to. I always tend to lean towards kind of darker, more violent characters, and for me you could like pluck Wolverine out and put him into any kind of story, and there's an interesting thing there. He just works so well, particularly on his own, and I think he actually works better in his own stories than he does usually with with the X-Men. But yeah, just amazing powers. This guy who just can't be killed, but he still feels pain, who has knives coming out of his hands, and just a great backstory. And I think some of the best stories in all of comics revolve around him.
Yeah. I mean, he's a classic, and he stayed the test of time, I guess, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Efren, you a fan of Wolverine?
Oh, who isn't? I mean, I loved when they did Origin. They showed finally, where he came from a child, and that was a great storyline. And they showed why he's into redheads finally, and how his claws popped out for the first time when he was a sickly child at the beginning, and then his powers mutated. And I love this character. I love the way he's progressed. I can't wait to see him on film against the Hulk. That's going to be a classic, but great choice. I mean, somebody had to have picked Wolverine. I'm glad somebody did, So.
Yeah, Ben, that's an interesting question. Do you think we're going to see him against the Hulk in MCU?
I'd love it, obviously. I was speculating that the Wolverine that Deadpool meets is a Wolverine from a completely, like, Deadpool ends up in a universe that's not necessarily MCU, but isn't the X-Men movies that we've seen, and how cool it would be to kind of have Wolverine with Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
Maybe you could even have that first scene as he's just come off the back of hunting down Hulk or whatever, and Deadpool kind of greets him. I don't know, but that I'd love to see it. Hugh Jackman has done such an incredible job to kind of bring a character that really only comic book fans knew, only comic book fans, maybe I guess X-Men 92 did a lot for the character, but really kind of brought him to the forefront, and has obviously done that for some long.
Sorry, Ben, you're right, but I think, just to agree with what you're saying, that X-Men '92, I would argue there wasn't many adults watching that. It was probably more teenage. So I think bringing him onto the screen for an adult, non-comic book audience, he did an amazing job, really, didn't he?
Oh yeah, and it's just like, it's funny, isn't it? I think you're definitely, as a kid, you either like Superman or you like characters like Wolverine, and for me, I am a as James says, Wolverine fan, like, because of that, that kind of, he's so imperfect, he's he that he's true of heart, but he just doesn't know how to go around things, and he's such a tortured soul, and it's just like, and also as well, and it will link to my pick here, but I love mutations that are a curse, that are physically almost physically painful for the individual. They are a gift, but they are mostly a curse, and the idea of having these free bones come out of you, that nothing's kind of more horrific than that. Really,
it's a line that always stuck with me in the first X-Men movie is, does it hurt every time?
I was just going to say that, because I'd never even considered that. Really, I haven't read the comics for years. I don't think I ever really read a panel or noticed a panel where they explained that it hurt, that it's cutting every time. And then that scene in the movie, I thought, wow,
You know who I would have chosen today as well? I haven't, but I want to give a shout out to Marrow for that. It's almost that, but bones, like times 10, with the bones coming out of her everywhere. So
because she literally pulls her bones out, doesn't she, and uses them as weapons.
There was a character who had a similar power in X-Men 3, but
there's two issues of X-Men in the past. One was when Magneto took all the adamantium out of Wolverine, and it made him more feral for a couple of years at least, and then the other one when he lost his adamantium and his bones were out, and somebody stepped on his bones and his hands. I forgot who the characters were, but those two issues, I forgot the numbers of them, but they really stick out. The pain this man does, and he just keeps on surviving.
That scene, Efren, you just mentioned there, where it was one of the anniversary issues, wasn't it, where Magneto rips the adamantium out of his body, is amazing. and again, something that when I was reading it, it was grotesque and brilliant, but I thought, why have I never even thought of doing this before? The amount of time Magneto and Wolverine has been around, do you know what I mean?
I remember watching X-Men 3 in the cinema, certain that was going to happen. It wound up not, but classic moment.
And his famous Berserker rage, there was this one issue where he was fighting the Thing, and he just went crazy, and he slashed his face all up, and part of the thing, his chunks of his face fell off. It was all pussy and everything for a while. Oh man, a great character.
And like I mentioned earlier, there's a video game in development at the moment. It's the team that did the Spider-Man game. Are working on a Wolverine solo game. So I have, you might notice around me, I never display comics because I don't have that many great ones, but I've been kind of preemptively picking up some Wolverine kind of classic comics just because I know my obsession is going to go tenfold once that game comes out.
You want the stuff with him versus the Hand, like from back in the day, Wolverine, the X-Men.
Are you on a commission? Are you commissioned for that series?
He gets $1 every time he says that.
Drink every time Ben says Wolverine, the X-Men.
James, have you been picking up comic books because of us? Have we been rubbing off on you how much we read comic books and stuff?
Oh, of course. I can never be at your level, Efren, though. I won't make that much in my lifetime.
Pick up an Amazing Fantasy 15.
Just casually on the weekend, because why not?
Just with recommendations for Wolverine stories, and Ben, you're going to have to help us out here. I keep coming to you as my comic expert, but I keep forgetting Efren knows his stuff as well. There's a brilliant series where Wolverine goes rogue and he kills loads of people, and S.H.I.E.L.D. are after him and stuff. Is it Enemy of the State or something?
Yeah, Enemy of the State. Yeah, that was a Wolverine standalone. It was in between his series, just how sometimes they changed pace, and then it was like Enemy of the State, and he was going after all these characters. I'm not sure why exactly.
I think he was brainwashed by the Hand.
That's right. That was it. Yeah.
There's also House of M, where he's the only one who knows that it's the wrong universe. So good.
There's also a fantastic audio drama called Wolverine: The Long Night. It's Richard Armitage.
All right.
from The
Yeah.
Hobbit and the first Captain America movie, but he plays him. He's fantastic, and that kind of got me into kind of audio dramas and audiobooks and stuff. But it's free on Spotify. You should check it out.
Guys,
Excellent.
just like when we did the horror movie thing and films, we should come back some other time and do another 3
Yeah,
hours.
this is part 1.
Yeah, part 1. Call it now. This is part 1. Yeah. Well, so James, you've picked a classic, superb, well-loved character there. Ben, what the shit have you picked?
Off. That's very rude. Okay. This is the future icon, Maggot, aka Japheth. I think it's like a biblical name. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but Japheth is his real name. He's a South African kid who essentially had like excruciating stomach pains and is presumed to have like a stomach cancer of sorts, and he's sort of shunned from his family, and he leaves home, and he's going to kind of essentially kill himself. It's a pretty dark first appearance, X-Men 345, and Magneto intervenes and obviously tries to sort of recruit Maggot and stuff. And anyway, it all kicks off. Down the line, he ends up as an X-Men because he's a good dude. But the stomach pains turned out to be two of these weird kind of maggot creatures who he affectionately calls Eenie and Meanie. And what happens is he has to. So Eenie and Meanie are kind of bought out of him by like Magneto and stuff, and the maggots can feed on anything, so they have to basically feed and then return to his body to kind of digest. Like they're like his digestive system, if that makes sense. But with the energy and stuff that they get from feeding on everything, when they return to his body, that's what like turned his skin blue.
Look at James's face, man.
No, I'm deeply entranced by this.
Yeah, and he had like the power to identify what had happened in an area, like previously. Like it's like a psychic ability thing where you can tell what happened historically in a certain square mile of where he is, where him and Eenie Meenie are. Yeah, like he gets kind of power from them coming back into his body and stuff like that. So yeah,
nice.
Maggot. I mean, I visually, I just think like, yeah, the 90s weren't great for a lot of reasons, but I just really love how original he looks, and it really just kind of sparked my imagination as a kid and as a comic book reader in general now. Really loved how kind of twisted and dark his origins were, and yeah, he appears in there's like I think it's like Mindfulness of X-Men Appearances group or something. It's like a help group done by Domino and Nightcrawler, where basically all of the X-Men that can't appear in normal society because of the way they look get together for like a self-help group, and Maggot's in there, and one of the characters I'm going to mention shortly is in there as well. But yeah, imagine MCU Maggot. I'm calling it now, right? Okay, I am calling it now. Kevin Feige does not want to give us what we've already had. What we've already had twice, okay, sometimes 3 times. He is going to dig from the well of obscure characters, and I think he wants mutants to be mutants. He wants them to look, or weird and strange and horrific, and there's no better, option than Maggot. Hashtag Team Maggot.
Team Maggot, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm not doing him justice. I've only read very limited stuff with him in, to be honest. I think I read his origin story in a few.
He's not in a lot.
So just if they're fighting the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or whatever, what does his power do? What is the Maggot?
So if like they can consume anything. So if he's in a fight or whatever, he'll send his maggots out, and they'll fuck you up or
No,
whatever.
hang
And
on,
then
I need that bit. Show us how he sends the maggots. Oh,
like, you know,
it's good. It's good.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, and like he'll send them out, and then when they come back onto him, it gives him like a power and a strength. So
Yeah, because he looks kind of Hulk-esque, like the
yeah,
size.
he's kind of he's like buff, but it was like a proper meek, like you know, poverish sort of scrawny kid back in the day.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Ephraim, are you a fan of Maggot?
I mean, I've heard of the character, and I mean, I liked him when he was first introduced, and it took me a while to exactly, comprehend what his powers were when the maggots, they came out of his body, and but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting character. I like the way, I mean, there's no limits to what can be created if you're a mutant, by these.
Yeah.
By the people who create these characters, So
I mean, I think that's a polite way, Ephraim, of saying any old shit. You can do whatever you want. I mean, Ben, I'm looking at it, to be honest, and I'm thinking that's cosplay waiting to happen for you, surely, isn't it? Bit of a white wisp on your head.
Absolutely love to do that, yeah. But like, how the hell do you make those maggots? Like,
me and James could be your maggots.
there you go.
Just hop on your shoulders.
Thought Bubble 2023.
James, are you going to rush out and read some maggot books?
I'm tempted. I'll definitely stick on a Wikipedia page and have a read and see what's been going on with this guy.
Good man. Interesting picks, guys. Interesting picks. Right, last ones. And again, we've picked some real good characters here. So I've gone for Warren Worthington, the Archangel. So obviously started in X-Men 1 as Angel, kind of a very rich kid with nice fancy wings and all the rest of it. And then he gets assaulted by the Marauders, I think, in the Morlock tunnels.
Yeah.
And gets his wings kind of pinned to the wall and his feather wings sliced off. And then Apocalypse comes along and gives him this new kind of persona as Archangel with the razor wings, which shoot kind of razor blades out of them, blue skin tone and all the rest of it. And I just love it. I was reading the comics when this all happened at the time. So I was reading X Factor when it was kind of all kicking off, and those first few issues are amazing. There's one issue in particular where he's fighting Sabretooth on some rooftops, and Sabretooth shoots him, and then he's in battle with him. That's brilliant. But more recently, it's probably about 10 years ago or something, I absolutely adored the X-Force run with him and Wolverine and I think Deadpool and things where, Psylocke, where they really kind of tapped into kind of the Apocalypse's family background and things. And there was, I think there was like a spore or something that were going to spread across the earth. And it kind of accumulates in this battle between whether Warren takes control of Archangel or Archangel take control of Warren. Again, a bit like Illyana, just a character that's got lots of complex issues and flaws and split personalities almost. And I also just think he looks amazing. There's a tremendous statue of him kind of flying, reaching for the sky, which is amazing. And again, a hot toy I'd love to have with that wingspan and whatnot. So yeah, that's my pick, Archangel. You guys familiar with Archangel?
Oh yeah, great character when he first started out as the Angel and one of the original X-Men. And when his wings were, basically ripped off of him, and like you said, in the Morlocks, that series, and then he became the other character. I just really enjoy this character. I mean, of all the X-Men, I just like their arcs, how they start off, and what they go through. That's what I enjoy about these characters.
Tremendous.
Did he ever go back to just normal Angel, or is he always Archangel?
They've to be honest, James, they've mucked around with him a fair bit over the years, and there was one point I think where the razor blades fell out and the wings, the feathers grew back, and then could he switch between the two characters at one stage? And then was there some funny thing about his blood healing people or something?
Yeah, I remember that. Recently in the comic books, I just read a couple days ago, he was captured in this, I think in the series that's going on right now is Acts with the Eternals, Avengers.
Judgment Day, I think.
And they captured him and they chopped off one of his wings.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because he was running that it's an awful comic, X Corporation or whatever, where him and
Yeah.
he starts up a business or whatever. But
Yeah,
like,
terrible.
yeah, like as Peter said, like I think it's the complexity of the character, you know, and I think it's that very interesting thing of someone who almost rejects their wealth and their heritage, you know,
Yeah.
because they don't want that privilege, you know, that unfortunately they've got, whether they like it or not. And I think he's always tried to sort of be the best that he could possibly be with that privilege that has been bestowed upon him. It's not a great film, X-Men Last Stand, we all know that, but that opening scene with him as a kid trying to clip his wings is stunning. Like, it's really one of my favorites. And I actually really enjoyed Ben Foster as him, and it's just a shame we didn't get more in that show. That film was so terrible.
That's an awful scene, actually. You're right, where he's kind of, he got the kind of the grinder thing he's trying to,
a cheese grater kind of thing.
Yeah. But we got Archangel in one of the later movies, didn't we, as well?
Apocalypse, another crap film.
Yeah.
It was the guy who was in EastEnders played him.
Was it?
One of Ian Beale's sons.
Tremendous. James, are you a fan of the character? Do you know much about Archangel? Or?
Yeah, well, just more so, again, mostly from the movie portrayals, but I've read a couple of comics. I've always liked him from a visual standpoint. Fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Archangel thing, it's sort of less about that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the metal kind of sheen and the redesign, I think, is really cool.
Okie dokie. And then Efren, you've picked an interesting character.
So
that's worse than all of my choices. Can I just say?
I'm going to disagree now. I think I would have agreed with you. I'm going to let Efren speak in a second. Sorry, Efren, but I would have agreed with you. But I remember this character from the Exiles series.
Yeah. Yep.
And in the Exiles series, this character is amazing.
Yeah.
Take it away, Efren.
So obviously I've been reading X-Men when I was a little kid, and this character, he joined after the original X-Men, and his name is Mimic, or Calvin Rankin, and his abilities were to mimic anybody he got near. He would mimic their powers. And but in reality, he was not a mutant. They're saying he was a human mutate, which I don't know what the heck the difference is, but I just liked his character and the ability. The main reason was to basically mimic anybody's powers. And he got in such close contact with the original X-Men that the powers stuck with him. So he's always has these powers now moving forward, because he was in close proximity to them for such a long time. And he's been in and out of the X-Men books, and I just really like this character for some reason, because basically he was able to mimic all the X-Men original powers. But he comes out every now and then, and as Peter said, he was in the Exiles, which was a great run, you know, his power. So that's why I chose him. I just like, for some reason, this character stuck with me.
Yeah, he's a great character, and that run in Exiles, which is the run that gave with the first kind of Peggy Carter as Captain Carter, he's amazing in that. I'm surprised have you read that, Ben? The Exiles run with Blink and
yeah.
There's an amazing, absolutely amazing run where Hyperion. It's all about kind of Hyperion going bad and all that kind of jazz, but it's fantastic. James, I would imagine you've not seen this character before.
Heard of him, but no. When you put it on for a second, I thought, oh, do we have Archangel and then normal Angel? But I looked closer and see, the Cyclops eyes and the beast kind of hands. Cool power, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if he's in much at the moment, but I don't know if he's.
I can't even remember the last time I saw him.
Yeah. Okay, good pick, Efren.
I mean, he won't be on Krakoa if he's not a mutant, technically.
But, you know, they recently let Deadpool in Krakoa, so I think they can choose whoever they can let in on the island.
Yeah, and I guess they've had guests, haven't they, like with the gala.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So, James, your next pick.
Yeah, another kind of, I think, classic Brotherhood of Evil Mutants member, one of my favorites, Pyro. So again, introduced kind of to me in the X-Men movies, played by Aaron Stanford, I think is his name. And that movie does a really great job of like his relationship with Iceman and how they're kind of yin and yang and the kind of, you know, brothers who fall out thing from that. But I've always just loved the powers. Like that's one I imagined having when I was a kid. That's what I'd fantasize about, is like being able to control fire.
It's a bit worrying.
Yeah. And I like I also like the idea that he can't like create it. You know,
Yeah.
he needs another device to help him. So that kind of limitation of his amazing powers, but the limitations of that as well. And the costume I think is really cool as well.
Yeah.
This costume, the original.
I like it. Well, there was in the X-Men animated series, it makes a small appearance, and I think it's similar to this anyway. But I liked it at the time because I didn't know he had one back then. So I was like, oh, this is cool.
He's been showing up in the Marauders too with Kitty Pryde's team.
Yeah, he's great in that.
Yeah. Yep.
He's tattooed a skull on his face now. Like he's got a skull tattooed in his face. Wicked.
Yeah, very good. And I would imagine, Ben, that's one of your you like this character from the.
He's me and James. We're right there in terms of our wavelength. Just very similar to James. Like just a sort of power set that really sparked my imagination seeing it in the films, and I think that character is so superbly wrote in the films. You know, in terms of his kind of inner turmoil, and his family are dicks, by the way. I would have burnt those alive a long time ago. But yeah, so this is one thing that's always confused me though in the comics. Like, is he Australian or British? Because I swear I've seen it written both ways. Like,
I've always thought he was Australian.
Yeah. But then I swear I saw once that he was British, but I really like his attitude, and the Marauders thing that Ephraim mentioned, like he's really come into his own in that series as well. It's been a nice spotlight on him that I don't think he's had for a long time. So very cool.
Okay, who would win in a fight between him and the Human Torch?
Human Torch, surely, wouldn't it?
No, him.
Right, I was thinking him too, because the way he can manipulate fire, you know. Yeah. So anything the Human Torch throws at him, he can manipulate.
Well, he's not invulnerable to fire, though, I think, isn't he?
Well, he can move it, can't he? So he can make it not hit him.
Not hit him. Yeah. But then I guess Human Torch could just fly and punch him in the face.
He could switch the flames off, couldn't
he? He can't. He wouldn't be able to completely switch them off with Human Torch because Human Torch is like pure fire, isn't it? He's in command. Human Torch. It's not like. I don't know.
I didn't think you.
Let us know in the comment section below. Human Torch.
Secret Wars.
Pyro.
Secret Wars. Ephraim throwing the hard questions there.
I know. Journalism.
Okay. Oh, God.
Speaking of journalism.
I mean, okay. Ben, what's your next? What is it?
Wait, don't be so rude. His name is Trevor. Trevor Hawkins. Okay. AKA iBoy.
Why is he called iBoy? Yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah, I can't picture why.
First appeared in, wait for it,
Wolverine and the X-Men.
Wolverine and the X-Men, issue 19. And it also part of that support group that I mentioned before. He's got some love recently, which has been nice. They put him in the X Factor team, so that was pretty cool to sort of see him in that. I didn't really like the series, but so he's really pathetic. Like again, I'm just drawn to these these characters that are just. You know, it's a real struggle for them kind of embracing their power, or their power set is on surface level really rubbish. Like, and it takes a long time and storytelling to kind of get them to this point of, you know, superhero kind of stature. And he's a prime example of that. You know, ultimately, these eyes were just eyes. It wasn't. He didn't really even necessarily have a power. It was just like a physical mutation. And over the course of the series, we kind of learn that it ultimately lets him see beyond what we can see. So he can, like magic, like invisible magic, he can see. So there's like a whole thing with Doctor Strange where like he helps, he becomes a real, help to the team because he can see the dark magic and stuff like that. Doctor Strange actually helped enhance his powers in one of those issues as well. And then there's like a flash forward kind of issue or a couple of issues, and as part of that we meet I-Man. So it's basically Trevor Hawkins in the future serves as he's inside a sentinel head that orbits the Earth, and he basically sees everything on Earth by being on this kind of space shuttle thing, and is kind of the Earth's protector. He's like
Right.
the Earth's watchdog, and also as well, like in terms of kind of it giving him extra vision, that means that he over time learns that it gives him really good accuracy in terms of like using guns and stuff. So just really interesting, and just love again the kind of the visuals of these eyes being everywhere, and how kind of grotesque that would look.
And are the eyes literally all over his body or just in his face and hands?
All over his body, yeah.
It'd be very uncomfortable to wear clothes, isn't it?
Yeah. But that's what's so cool. Like in the I-Man scene, he wears this like black lycra, and they all like light up, on his body, and but yeah, uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't know how far down they go. That's not been explored. Yeah, I mean, we all have an eye down there, don't we?
Yeah. He's got an eye in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
gonna lie, Ben. I don't like this character.
I
I don't hope we never see him in a movie.
This is, guys.
I
I'm
hope Tom
calling
Cruise
it
is going
now.
to play him. Tom Cruise is going to play him. It'll be good.
I'm calling it now. iBoy Kevin Feige is going to find an iBoy and put him in a film.
So when I first seen this character, I said, "Oh my God, what does this character do?" I didn't get him at all. But as he's progressed throughout the years, that future version of him, I thought it was kick-ass. Another future version, Glob too. When the future version of him, that character too. I'm really enjoying this character now, and he has different powers that I think are going to come out more and more. Because I think each eye is going to have different capabilities, which have already been shown. So I think it's a very interesting character. Like I said, when I first saw him, I said, "Oh my God, what is this?" But Peter, I'm looking at your face. But anyway,
thank you, Efren.
I'm still at the what is this phase, Efren? I'm struggling to move on.
Being the voice of reason.
If you read this character, his arcs, how he has progressed, how his powers have improved, I think he's an excellent character. I mean, I like the way, and I think there's going to be unlimited powers that he's going to be able to have with his eyes, and it's starting to look more and more relatable. At least I think he is.
I think he is.
You got to read them. You got to read those arcs. They're really good.
Good. Yeah. James, are you going to rush out and get some eyeball comics?
No, I'm going to stay clear. Sorry, what will be the X-Men? Yeah, I'm not touching that book now. Yeah, sorry about that. Ruined it.
Okay.
You're lucky I didn't pick Beat tonight. I was very close.
So that's 2 for and 2 against. So we got to have somebody else come in and decide.
Let one know in the comments. Let one know in the comments if you
hashtag Team iBoy.
Let us know in the comments what you think. I mean, I am interested in his recent appearances. That sounds interesting. But I think for me, Ben, I always thought this was just a character with lots of eyes. I didn't realize that eyes had special powers. I thought it was just one of those physical mutation kind of things. So yeah. Okay, right. So there we go, gents. That's where
part
3 favorite mutants part 1. That's been another interesting one, guys. Well, I think we'll probably have to revisit this at some point because there's so many mutants out there.
Yeah.
That there's no doubt lots of characters we could have all talked about tonight, I think. But thank you very much for your time. We've clocked in at just over an hour. So another good one, another good episode. So thank you very much for your time. Really do appreciate it. And we'll just say good night and we'll catch you next time. Bye.